Okay, by 8:15 sharp I'll be available, okay, from next sessions. Okay, so today I'm going to show you the roadmap, okay, the course roadmap, how we will do, like the content wise, what topics we are going to discuss. Let's see the roadmap so that you will get the clear understanding what topic need to learn first, what topic need to be learned next. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, you are seeing, right? Everyone able to see? Yes or no? You guys able to see? Yes, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. So if you go to our Spring first page, there you can see this. Okay, the course content, Spring Boot framework. Okay, let me copy this content here. Snipping. Okay, so these all are the topics that we are going to discuss from across Spring Boot, microservices. Okay, multiple topics we have here. Okay, all these are from Spring framework only. Okay, all these are part of Spring only. So Spring, we will divide this into three portions. One is Spring framework, the old school framework, right? Before Spring Boot, everybody used to work on this Spring framework. This is the old one. This is the old concept. And Spring Boot is a new concept. Using this new concept only, microservices also developing. Microservices are nothing but patterns. Okay, patterns and some services. Using that patterns and service, we will implement them in Spring Boot only. Okay, so first this we will understand old framework, then we go to new framework. So in this old framework and for this new framework, the heart for this topics, right? Heart for the entire Spring is Spring core topic. Without this core, you can't imagine Spring or Spring Boot microservices. So Spring core is such an important module. Okay, this is like heart to all the topics. So if you learn Spring core topics, then only you would able to proceed ahead and you can understand all these modules. So you need to learn Spring core first. Okay, Spring core, if you learn, it will help you to understand Spring Jdbc, ORM, AOP, transactions, security, MVC, any topic from old framework. Learn this core and you can learn anything from old framework, and learn this core framework and you can able to learn Spring Boot also easily. You need to know Spring core because Spring core topics only again we are going to use across all Spring Boot. Without a Spring core module, no Spring framework, no Spring Boot framework, and no microservices also. Right? Spring core is such an important module. Spring core is such an important module. You should well aware of its concepts. Okay, so that you would able to proceed ahead to learn anything from any direction. Okay, so you can learn all these topics. If you know Spring core, you can learn Spring Boot completely, right? And you can learn microservices also. Easily you can learn microservices also. So which is most important that we need to learn first? Spring core concept. Spring core concepts we need to learn first, then you can go ahead and learn any module. Now you are independent. Once you learn the core, right, which means you got the permission to learn Spring framework, Spring all other modules. So this is like a passport to learn all other modules. This is like a passport, or you say a visa, to learn all other modules. If you don't know core, you can't understand other topics. If you know core, you can understand any topic, right? So Spring Core is such an important module. Spring Core is a such an important module. You need to learn the Spring Core module first. It is very, 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 very important. Okay. So because wherever you go and code, right, in any other module, you will use this Spring Core styles only, Spring Core coding only, Spring Core annotations only. Whatever annotations given as part of Spring Core, right? Across all other development, you will use that annotations. Across all your development, Spring Core containers only you will use. So without core, no Spring. Without Spring Core module, no Spring framework or Spring Boot or microservices. Okay, so this is the base module. Spring Core is the base module, like for any construction, right? If you want to build a building, multi-stair building, right? So I want to build like a Burj Khalifa here with multiple floors. Consider you need a basement. Similarly, for your Spring also, all Spring modules implemented on top of core module only. All these are implemented on Spring Core only. Spring Core module. So using the Spring Core module, all other topics like Spring Jdbc, Spring ORM, AOP, beautiful concepts they designed. MVC, each and every topic is like a gem. Okay, all these topics they designed on top of core module, MVC, security, transactions, and by using all these topics, above all these topics, Spring Boot, and using this boot concepts, microservices also. Okay, all these concepts brick by brick they added on top of each one more topic, one more topic, like that they added all these concepts. Okay, so for all these concepts the base is Spring Core. If you remove the core, no module will work. If you remove core, no module will work. But if you want to remove AOP, you flexibly remove it. If you don't want AOP in your application, it's fine, remove it. I don't want AOP concept. Okay, you don't want, remove it. So AOP, if you don't want, remove it. You don't want to apply security for my application. No much security is required. I am creating a blog. It is for public. No security required. Okay, remove security. I don't want to apply any transactions. Basic CRUD operations are enough for me. Transactions module I don't want. Okay, remove it. I'm using JDBC. I don't want ORM in my application. I want to remove it. Remove it. I don't want to use MVC. I want to use REST services from Spring Boot. Okay, let's remove MVC and use it. Maybe some standalone application developing. So let's remove MVC. If it is a web application, of course, you will have this dependency. Okay, so this is how any module you can remove if you want, but the Spring Core module you cannot avoid. If somebody asks in your interview questions, how many modules we have in Spring? You will say Spring Core, MVC, AOP, JDBC, ORM, security, transactions, Spring Boot, microservices, all these implemented. Now, if I ask you a question, can I avoid Spring Core module and shall I use other modules? You should say no. Spring core. Without core, you cannot work on any other module. It is impossible to use other modules. It is impossible to use other modules without Spring core, because everything internally using Spring core library only. Everywhere they are using Spring core concepts only. For Jdbc, ORM, AOP, MVC, wherever they implemented their framework libraries, they are using Spring core again. Okay, so in your development you can use all these Spring core concepts, whatever you want for your development. On top of that, whatever features you want to add to your application, you can add them also. Spring core is such a important module. Okay, Spring core is such a important module, and it is mandatory to us. We can avoid anything, we can skip anything, but Spring core, impossible, because without this, nothing. Why that module is such a important module? Why Spring core is such an important module for us? What they added in that? What is there inside that core module? Let us try to understand about core module. Okay, now consider you are developing application here, some Java classes you are writing, right, for your application. You have a app, you are writing classes here, right? You are writing multiple classes, class A, B, C, D, like this. You have up to Z, multiple classes you have, right? Classes, you have this many classes in your application. This is my app, online food delivery system, a food app I developed using A to Z classes. Many classes I implemented here. Let's consider 100 plus classes or 1000 plus classes you have. And if you want to use Spring, right, if you want to use Spring across this 1000 classes, you can use. Without using Spring also you can develop your application, but you should be very much a skilled person to develop your application, right? All the best practices you need to follow. If you go with Spring, Spring will provide you many features. You are a normal or average guy also, it's okay, you can develop application. Okay, you can develop application in Spring Boot, no much skills required. But if you use only J2EE concepts, you should have so many skills to develop the application. Okay, I don't want to go into that route now. Here I have 1000 classes. I'm using this 1000 classes for my application, and I want to use Spring here. I want to use Spring here. So which modules you can use? Any modules, as I said, right? Jdbc, ORM, MVC, anything you can use here. When you implement your classes by using any of Spring module, any of the Spring module, right? Finally, you need to configure all these classes, whatever classes you implemented, right? All these classes will be running on IOC container. Is it? I developed food app and I purchased. You may ask like this. I developed this food app and I purchased AWS space. In AWS space, I have Tomcat server. I have AWS. In AWS, I purchased a Tomcat. I have Tomcat server. I have a Tomcat server. In the Tomcat server, I will place my food app. I will place my food app in my Tomcat server. The same food app. So who will run your classes? You are using Spring here. You are using Spring here. Okay. So you are using Spring here. When you try to run your classes, you have 1000 classes. When you try to run your classes in Tomcat, you deployed your code in AWS. When you try to run it in Tomcat, Tomcat is not going to create objects for you. You have 1000 classes, right? Tomcat will not do anything. Tomcat will not create objects. So then who will create objects? In your code itself, you are going to add Spring Core module. Spring Core module you will going to add. This Spring Core module is having one container. We call that as IOC container. Spring Core module is having containers. We call it as IOC, inversion of control containers. So all your classes will be loading when you deploy your food app code, right? Your food app code will run in your IOC first. It will run in your IOC only. IOC is a container given in Spring Core module. So your food app, all classes, 1,000 classes will be running from IOC only. Who will start your IOC? IOC is a machine. Okay, IOC and this food app, everything will be combined into your app and you will deploy here. Consider this complete application is like a factory, right? A big factory where you are manufacturing cars and you are manufacturing bikes and all. So to start your entire factory, you need to have a button, power button. One power button main switch we will on so that all activities will start in a factory. So you implemented a food app with IOC, including IOC, you implemented a food app. To start your application, you will use Tomcat. Tomcat will start your IOC. Tomcat will start your IOC. IOC will start creating objects for your food app. Not only objects, it will completely manage your application. Your food app will be managed by IOC only. So you need not to buy this IOC. This is came as part of Spring Core jar file only. In your core jar file itself, you have this IOC. In your core jar file itself, you have your IOC. IOC is responsible for all your Spring classes. Without IOC, you can't run your Spring classes. IOC is such a mandatory container. Anywhere you go, Spring Boot, microservices, or these modules, anywhere you go, you can't run any class. You cannot run any class without your IOC. So Spring Core module is having such an important container. We call it as container. Spring Core module is having container. Spring Core module is having containers. Container means which will create objects. Which will create objects. Not only objects, many responsibilities it will take care. So Spring Core module is having containers. Container is responsible to manage all your classes, whichever classes you implement. Without that containers, you cannot imagine. You cannot imagine Spring. You cannot imagine Spring without that containers. Okay, such an important module Spring Core is. Such an important module Spring Core module is. And there are many other features also. Spring Core is having again a great feature named called dependency injection. Without this concept, you cannot able to integrate your classes. So dependency injection concept is there. And one more important concept we have, life cycles concept. Without this, you cannot able to life cycles. Like this, you have many modules. I mean, many features in your core module. So we need to learn this core first, then we can go ahead with other modules. Okay, so this is the roadmap for our learning. This is the roadmap for our learning. We learn core Java, then you can pick whatever the topic you want to learn. We will go with this approach only. Okay, first we will learn core module, then JDBC, ORM, AOP, transaction, security, and MVC. We will finish this, then we will go to Spring Boot. There we will try to understand about Spring Boot starters, built-in servers, how to implement services, how to use Spring Cloud features, how to use DevOps tools, actuators, how to integrate with multiple databases, how to use the data JPA, ORM, and we will use we will handle exceptions, how to handle them, how to integrate Spring Boot with the theme leaf kind of thing, how to use historics in Spring Boot, and all the microservices concepts, how to use fin client, rest client, eureka services, eureka clients, proxies. We will use gateway services, We will use between RabbitMQ kind of things. All the topics we discuss in microservices. Many concepts we have in microservices. Okay, so this is the basically roadmap. So far, any doubts? Did you understand why we need to start with core module? Yeah. So core is such an important module. We will finish all the core topics first. Okay. Yeah. Lakshman, do you have any questions?
Hi Naveen.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, I have one question. So Java classes always will be executed by JRE, right?
Hmm.
So here you are using IOC under the Tomcat server. Can
Yeah.
you make me clear
Yeah. Yeah. We will
why?
discuss that. Yeah. So I'll tell you how this Spring is designed. Okay. That is what the
Okay.
next topic. Yeah. So in earlier workshop also, I shared the video. Do you guys remember? If you go through that video, very clearly 2 hour session I have given. Um, Let me search it. Just last Saturday session only. Just a minute. So post the session, go through this video. Okay. I'll try to explain that as well. So I shared the YouTube link. Go through that video. Okay. Or else watch this video.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Go through this. You will clearly understand how Spring is implemented. Okay. So let me explain the same now. Yeah. So how Spring is implemented? Why if no Spring, how it used to be? Let's try to understand. I given a simple car example. Okay. Did we discussed about this yesterday? Manual car. So let's say you have a car. Okay. Let's say you have a car which is having manual gears, manual gear system, manual gear system, which means you need to have lot of skills to drive this car. Manual gear if you have, so which means you should have lot of skills. You need to have skills to drive, right? Simply if you go and sit into the car, you cannot able to drive it like Tesla car. In Tesla you no need to have any skills to drive. Just if you are able to set the location, it will take you wherever you want. But if it is a manual gear car like Maruti Shift car, you have Maruti Shift, which is manual gear. So you need to have a lot of skills to drive that. You know how to apply the clutch, how to shift the gear, where to shift up, shift down the gears, right? So you should know how to drive this car. But if it is a automated car, a car which is having auto gears, car, auto gear car. Let's say I have here something C as auto gear. For auto gear car, let's say C as I want to drive. So here you need to have minimum skills, right? Some skills, few skills, at least a few skills few skills you need to drive the car. What are that few skills? How to apply accelerator? Gear shifting is the basically very headache task, right? While driving the car or bus or any manual gear vehicles. When it is auto gear vehicle, it is not that much difficult. Just if you know how to, accelerate your vehicle, that's enough. Just you need to put it in drive mode and you need to drive it. Your focus should be on road only. Just you can drive it easily if it is a auto gear car. Okay. So the same car, if it is auto gear with auto drive mode also, auto gear with auto drive mode. I have a car here with auto gear and it is having auto drive mode also. Earlier we used to have this auto gear with auto drive mode in aeroplanes. Automatically aeroplane used to go in auto drive mode. Using data signals, it will identify its path and it used to go. Same technology implemented in cars also nowadays. Right? Tesla car is a auto drive car. So you need not to have any skills. Kids also can go. Kids also can go. Just if you are busy, if your kid wants to go to school, you can ask him to go and sit in your car. You can set location, car will go and drop and come back. Even you need not to look after your car. Itself, it will take care. It will do lot of analysis. How many vehicles are coming on the road using artificial intelligence and satellite networks and all, right? So your car will get the data, lot of data, and it will understand with artificial intelligence and it will drive car. So it can able to remember your locations also. It can able to remember persons also. Everything. Let's say while designing Tesla car, if they don't know, if they don't, car need to look right when there is a cow come on the road or buffaloes when they come on the road, it should understand who is passing through it. So it will understand and it will inform to other cars also. There is an object like this buffalo, it might come to the road, you need to stop it because buffalo will not move. It will send that signals, it will understand automatically, it will build that intelligence and it will share that knowledge with other cars also. Such a artificial intelligence cars also we have, right? So similarly, if you compare this with your Java frameworks, right? Implementing a application in simple Java J2EE is something like implementing application in Java J2EE is like manual gear car. It is like a manual gear car. So you need lot of skills to develop your application. If you pick Java or J2EE technology, here the technology is manual gear for car. Here for your application, let's say instead of car, right, I'm building application here, online food delivery system, online food delivery system, OFDS something. So for this online food delivery system, right, if you use Java J2EE, skills to develop, lot of skills, to develop. The same online food delivery system you can develop with minimum skills. With the minimum skills you can develop if you develop it in frameworks. Framework example is like Spring. If you develop it by using a framework, developer need not to have, here driver need not to have great skills. Few skills he need for auto drive car. Similar way for frameworks based applications, you need not to have so much skills. All right. So here you need a developer, a junior developer or a senior developer, a normal developer. You can say few skilled or developer with the few skills are enough. Developer with few skills, very few skills is enough to develop this application if you go with the framework. Now, the same online food delivery system like intelligent framework, instead of normal framework like Spring framework, if we choose intelligent framework like Spring Boot, of course Spring Boot implemented on top of Spring framework only, but they added lot of intelligence to it. Okay, so here when you choose a Spring Boot, right, this is like a auto drive car. Spring Boot. Spring Boot as a technology, if you use, this is like a auto drive car. Anyone can develop. Who learns it, right? Spring Boot. Anyone can develop. Design system. You can deploy a .NET guy. He can work with very less skills. Okay, so maybe hardly if you have any development tasks and if you want to train the people, right, you can hire junior developers, freshers. You can train them in Spring Boot. Maybe hardly 1-2 days they will learn Spring Boot, and they can start designing systems. If you can suggest them, this is how you need to write any large number of systems, they can build it. Such a intelligent framework it is, Spring Boot. So you can compare it now. You can compare it now with your cars. Easily you will able to understand it. Having Java J2EE for your application development, plain J2EE concepts like EJBs are very much difficult to develop. Right here, it will take a lot of time to design the system. Also, lot of time it will take to design the system. So to design the system, to maintenance of the system is very much difficult if you go with Java J2EE. From the investment point of view, consider if it is going to take 1 CR for your small application, whereas Spring Framework may reduce it. At least it may reduce it to up to 20 lakhs. In this 20 lakhs also you are investing on developer. The same thing if you move it to Spring Boot, the investment may go up to 5 lakhs. A rough example I'm giving. This may not be same. It depends on the applications. So this is how from the maintenance point of view, if you want to design and deploy a application, online food delivery application for your city, Java J2EE, this is the cost you need to bear. And if it is a Spring framework, you need a skilled developer. You need to hire one good guy who is having at least 10 years of experience. He can able to develop it. I mean, he should design the entire system. So you need to pay for him salary. If you go with Spring Boot, you can hire a junior developer within 1-2 lakhs. You can hire a minimum guy, and you can groom him in Spring Boot. He can able to deliver the system. Complex architecture, you design it, and the remaining business logics you can ask him to implement. He can design it and he can deliver it. So very few skills are required when you go with Spring Boot. Now coming to your question, how these frameworks are implemented when you see them, right? First, we don't have anything apart from CoreJava. When 1995, when 1995, when 1995 Java, 1995 or 85, when it is came, 1995 around, right? It is delivered into the market. James given Java, CoreJava, J2SE concepts in 1995, the first version. Okay, so till 2000s, we don't have any best framework in the market. So early in 2003s, right? Early in 2003s, Spring designed. Early in 2003, Spring designed. So who designed the Spring? Between this 95 to 2003 around, right? No other frameworks or alternatives people have. Okay. So if you want to use, you need to use Sun libraries only. Sun microsystems given CoreJava, and they given J2EE also. On top of CoreJava, they given EJB concepts. So they designed EJB concepts, EJB entity beans, EJB session beans kinds of concepts in J2EE they given. So using these concepts, you can design big systems like banking applications. Any distributed applications you can design distributed. This will help you to implement distributed applications like banking or e-com, any complex applications you can design. They are really capable. So between 95 to 2003, we don't have any alternatives. If you go with this combination, technology combination, right? As I said, it is very much difficult to develop. It is very much too difficult to develop. After development also, right? To deploy your code, right? Your core Java and Java J2EE concepts, to run all these concepts, you need a container like WebLogic. So you should have by WebLogic container. WebLogic container will take care of objects creation of all your EJB classes. But finally, WebLogic will take care of objects creation, and it will create objects in your JVM only. End of the day, the final destination is JVM, the final destination for anyone. So WebLogic will do lot of help here to create your objects. So many things it will perform here for the distributed architecture, stubs and skeletons, and registries. So many things you will have. So end of the day, it is going to run your application in JVM. Anyway, for developing this application, you need a developer with skills. The skills developer you need to have. So you need to invest him on 50 lakhs, and on the server again you need to invest on 50 lakhs to run your application. So a lot of investment you need to do. Lot of investment you need to do if you go with this architecture. So till 2003 we don't have any frameworks. By the time 2003, one alternate came, which is Spring Boot. So to develop any application, right, Spring Boot came into the market. Many open sources came. So in such case, you need not to go with this EJB concepts. Use Spring MVC here or Spring Framework. Spring Framework here in early 2003 it came. So when you want to use the Spring Framework, it is not really mandatory that you need to use WebLogic. Any open source server you can use. Web server, that too, web server is enough. Tomcat kind of web server is enough. End of the day, your Tomcat also is going to create objects on JVM only. But the Spring Framework will use IOC container to create your objects. Still here, right? It will use IOC. IOC will create all the objects of your classes which are you implemented with the help of Tomcat. Finally, all your objects will be created in JVM only. Whatever number of classes you have, all your classes objects will be created in JVM only. Now, when you go with the Spring Boot framework here, instead of Spring Framework, when you go with Spring Boot here, right? If you go with the Spring Boot, if you go with Spring Boot, right? In case of Spring Boot, Tomcat also not required. Tomcat, you need not to configure it because inbuilt Tomcat it will give. So in your code itself, there is a Tomcat server in Spring Boot. In your code itself, there is a embedded Tomcat. So you need not have any special containers. Just deploy your Spring Boot application in JVM. JVM means JRE. You need to have JRE. So if you have JRE, that is sufficient to run your application. See how they made our life simple here. Finally, they avoided everything. You have JRE in your cloud, enough. Deploy your Spring Boot app. You need not to buy even single service. Everything is open source here, free of cost. Just buy your AWS space and deploy it. Bus. In your AWS, just you need to have JRE. You deploy your Spring Boot app here and you start using it. That's how the invention went from 1915 to 2003, 2003 to now 2022, almost 2023, maybe in next few months. In between this era, right, in between these 2 decades, between 2003 to 2023, Spring Framework improved a lot. In between this 20 years, Spring Framework finally became Spring Boot. You can imagine how much efforts they added along this 20 years here. Pivotal team. Pivotal team, they invested their time and money here. R&D, they used to do continuous R&D on Spring framework. Every month they are providing new releases, and they are providing, if there are any glitches also right in that framework, they are identifying and they are solving that problems also. Pivotal across these years, right? They are giving helping hands to open source market. They are not taking even single rupee from whoever is using Spring Boot. They are not taking even single rupee from us. If you want to develop application in Spring Boot, it's free. Pivotal is giving us for free of cost. You take it and use it. And making applications are in Spring Boot is like a Tesla car. Spring Boot applications are like a Tesla cars. You need not to do anything. Very minimum configurations. Very minimum configurations. Any developer can do that. For our current market, very less people are aware of the Spring Boot and microservices. So whoever having the knowledge, they are getting good jobs and good packages. End of the day, are they doing anything? No, they are sitting idle in Tesla car, which means they need not to do lot of coding. It's easy for them. Whoever traveled across from manual gears to auto cars, right? They know the pain in case of manual gear cars, how they implemented it. So now today when they see these applications which are having Spring Boot, right? For them, it's like easy. 1 year work also they can deliver it in 1-2 days. They feel that much comfort here. So whoever wants to learn, if you have CoreJava knowledge, it's not difficult for you to learn Spring Boot. It's such a easy framework, learning, using, delivering with Spring Boot. And of course, end of the day, you will get good packages in the market. Such a huge demand we have. Okay, so end of the day, our goal is we are going to learn Spring Boot with microservices. We start with this, right? As I said, through our roadmap, right? We start with the Spring Core module. Slowly, we will adopt Spring Boot. End of the day, we should become expert in this area. Okay, yeah. So that's all. Maybe in tomorrow's session, I'll start examples giving you from Spring Core module. Okay, I'll explain you first what is Spring Core, containers, how it will work, what is the need of it, what is the MVC pattern. One by one we will go. I'll try to give, for any layman also, he should able to understand the session. Okay, so don't think that he's not going very high level. I can go up to any high level, but it will be difficult to minimum understanding people, right? So the duration of this course is going to take 45 days, next 45 days. So any questions so far, or any suggestions, or anything you want to add? Yeah, you guys can talk. The line is open for you.
Yeah, hi Naveen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hi.
this core Java and J2EE application is dependent on WebLogic server only, or other than WebLogic we can use.
Any application server.
Okay.
Let me
Okay,
go there. Yeah.
so the
So
internally. Hmm,
yeah, if you use J2EE here, you need to use WebLogic or JBoss application servers. When you use EJBs
oh,
can't run themselves. They need containers,
oh,
EJB containers, EJB session beans, EJB entity beans, and EJB related transactions. Everything we need to set it up in our application server. Such a
Okay.
dependency we used to have earlier in EJB 2 version. If you see, now we have new versions. I even have not interest to go through that concepts. Maybe they improved, they might be improved a lot, EJB side also. But
Okay.
definitely they need containers. If you start using EJBs, definitely you should be buying a container end of the day.
Okay. And so that WebLogic or JPOS internally using that JVM only. That is dependent on JVM.
Of course, they need to use.
Oh,
End of the day, if you write a Java class, go anywhere JVM is required.
okay.
Though you use a WebLogic server, Tomcat server, whatever server is, you need to install your server and JRE also in your system. If you
Okay.
go with EJBs, you need two servers. I mean, two
Mm,
services. When you go with EJB, right? First, you need to package this EJB as a EAR file, enterprise archive file.
okay.
Okay. So you need to make it as a enterprise archive file, EAR file. This enterprise archive file, you need to deploy it into EJB. Oh, why it is happening? No field. Okay. You need to deploy it into any application server. Application servers will have two capabilities. One is EJB capability and servlet capability. Both will have. So WebLogic,
Okay.
JBoss, WebSphere, all those servers are having EJB and servlet capabilities. Okay.
Mm,
So anyway, they are going to use along with this application server, right? You need to have JRE also. Wherever you deploy in your Linux server, right? You need to have your JRE software and the WebLogic software or
okay.
JBoss, whatever you choose. But if you see from Spring Boot side, you need to make it as a jar file, right? Your application, online food delivery system, a jar file you need to make it and you deploy directly on JRE.
Mm,
It will run directly. You feel like it is a simple CoreJava application. You don't have any other dependencies. Just you need to design it in Spring Boot only. Internally it having containers, embedded containers it have. So special container is not required for us.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it
got
clear
it.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
clear.
So timings are, for now for these demo sessions, it is going to be 8 to 9. Later I'll move it to 7:30 to 8:30 or 9, 7:30 to 9, 1.5 hour session. Will that be fine with everyone? Maybe most of you are going to office, right? If I can close by 9, so you can, you know, very with little rush, you can go to your office also. Yeah, we'll shift to this session half an hour before, right? Once we start this regular session, right, we'll shift it half an hour before. For now, let's move it 8 to 9. So I would request everyone, right? I would request everyone, please, get registered as soon as possible so that I'll start regular session instead of giving these demos, right? So uh, get get the permanent link. This is the demo link. It will expire in 1 2 days. Get the permanent link so that after paying, right, you will get the daily videos also. Daily videos also will be shared with you. Let me share it. Um, Okay, register in this WhatsApp group if you are new. Okay, so you will get daily recordings also once you sign up, right? Daily recordings, all the access you will get. So I would recommend you to everyone, please get registered as soon as possible. Yeah. Any questions or any suggestions? It's open. Yeah.
Um, Hi Naveen, Lakshman here.
Yes, Lakshman.
Hi, I think it's something basic question. So JSF, some applications are implemented in JSF Spring, Struts world
Correct.
applications frameworks they are using. What about is this will be deprecated or any applications running?
JSF still there. Struts application is gone. They stopped their support in 2013 itself.
Okay,
So Struts 1x is not there. Struts 2x is there. But again, those are very limited frameworks. Up to web layer only they can provide support. So it is not at all recommended to go with that frameworks. Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
before Spring, that was the when there is nobody, right? What we say in desert, if you get some water, that itself is enough. But while you are living with a good lifestyle, you will expect everything to live. So in those days, we don't have Spring. Their Struts and other frameworks are heroes in those days. Once Spring came and Spring given all these features, they slowly fade out from the market because all are open sources only. So as Apache also believed that Spring is having lot of features, so they retired the Struts. Struts is not having support. If you are still interested, go through my videos and I'll share the examples also. Struts complete videos are there in DurgaSoft site. You can go through that architecture. At least if you want to listen, at least 4 or 5 sessions you can listen there. And Hibernate is there. Hibernate again, it's like a gem, like Spring framework. Spring and Hibernate, right? Hand to hand, they both are traveling. Hibernate is a ORM framework.
okay, okay. Yeah. So nowadays I'm not hearing that Struts also that's the got out.
Huh.
So
They retired
everything
it.
is
Almost
yeah.
8 9 years back itself. They announced that we are closing this open source. They closed it.
Okay, okay.
So later we don't have any Struts versions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to learn those days, right? Struts,
Yes.
JSF. There are many frameworks like Wicket, Google
Yeah.
framework. There are
Okay.
so many MVC frameworks was there. But
Okay.
if you compare with the Spring, coming to the flexibility wise or from the development wise, Spring is simple and so many concepts given. They
Okay.
beautified and they made it everything simple. Day by day, they are making our job easy. Lot many
Okay.
features.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for information. And one more question. So, um, apart from Spring Boot and Spring microservices depends on the current market trend. Is there anything because we need to learn as a Java developer need to learn some other some
Yeah, if you are
uh,
want to become a complete, microservices guy, learn any cloud like Azure or AWS or OpenShift, anything. Learn any cloud and DevOps also. Those two are the other technical areas. If you want to become a complete architect, a full-length architect, okay. So learn that two topics also. Coming to coding wise, design patterns wise, we will cover everything here. Okay.
okay. Okay. Okay. I got it. So Google Cloud that is also kind of
Yeah,
right. So
GCP also.
AWS, GCP.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thanks
I
for
am going to
information.
show you the examples basically in AWS. Basic examples I'll show how to use AWS. Uh, it's an open source. I mean, freeware we have up to some hours we can use. So I'll create one AWS account and I'll show you how to create DB instances, how to create this elastic instances to deploy your code. All predefined services are there. We will pick them and deploy. I'll show end to end and mapping to domains also, right? How to map from your domain which you purchase in GoDaddy, right? How to map from here to your AWS, and what is the need of gateways, securities. You will get the complete understanding. Okay.
Okay. After developing the code, we need to deploy in AWS. So you will show in this curriculum, it will be covered, right? Okay.
Yeah, from first example itself, I'm going to deploy it in cloud, in local and cloud, local cloud, so that you will see the reality. If we are
Okay.
practicing in local, you may not realize the configurations, of productions. So when I show in both the environments, you will realize how to change the configurations also. So you'll get almost 99.9 real-time understanding. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Lakshman. Any questions? You can sign up on that WhatsApp group. So all the follow-ups, updates, everything can be happened in that group. Everybody can reach out. So register in that WhatsApp group also. I shared the link. And yesterday I shared this blog link also. This is our blog. You will be getting everything. And the document also, right? Google Drive document I'll share. You go through these blogs also. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Any questions? Okay. Shall we close for today then? We'll connect tomorrow by 8:10. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thanks for your time. Yeah. Anything you want to talk, Sultan?
No, nothing, Naveen. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.